Hello everybody and welcome back to the F1 2021 My Team Career Mode with me, Dan, and the Radiant Racing team. We're into the third week of racing now, round 7, and we come to the Red Bull Ring in Austria. We've had a pretty good run of things so far with the Radiant Racing team, picking up a couple of podiums and even a win in Canada last week. We'll have to see if the form of the Radiant Racing team can continue into the final 10 races of the season, and well, hopefully they can win out in their battle for third place in the constructors between them, McLaren and Ferrari. Anyway, to see that, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, and of course comment down below what your highlight of this Grand Prix is. It's a bit of an odd one today, very chaotic. Let's get on with the starting grid order. Not that it's going to matter too much in a few minutes time, but it's Valtteri Bottas on pole position. He's alongside Max Verstappen, and then behind them the other Red Bull driver is Sergio Perez. He's with Lando Norris on the second row. The two Ferraris on the third row, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Then the other McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo alongside Pierre Gasly. And running at the top 10 we have Radiant Slothz and Fernando Alonso. Behind them we have Yuki Tsunoda. He's alongside Lewis Hamilton, who receives a grid penalty for this Grand Prix. Then behind them we have Sebastian Vettel in the first Aston Martin and Esteban Ocon. The other Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, he's alongside Antonio Giovinazzi, who's in 16th once again. Behind them, Kimi Raikkonen lines up alongside George Russell in the Williams. The other Williams of Nicholas Latifi follows, alongside Mick Schumacher, and finally Zhou Guanyu and Nikita Mazepin. Well, here we are on the grid of Austria, about to get underway, one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, and away we go. Everyone's times posted on the board. Radiant Slothz looking to the outside of Daniel Ricciardo into turn 1. Fernando Alonso with a dive bomb smashes into Pierre Gasly. Radiant Slothz forced around the outside. Early virtual safety car comes out already. That is Pierre Gasly overtaken under a virtual safety car. How he's not been penalised for that is anybody's guess. Also, for those of you that are curious, sponsors on the car, because I was brave enough to keep the game running to save this replay without advancing to the next race. Anyway, down into turn 1. Radiant Slothz, pieces of front wing flying all over his face, decides to get out of the way rather than risk being caught up in all of that mayhem there. There goes Gasly at full race speed. On board with Alonso. Where did things go wrong? Draws alongside Ricciardo, who has a terrible start, and then decides to take a very interesting line through turn 1, which resulted in him cutting the corner and smashing the front wing off of Pierre Gasly's car. Daniel Ricciardo, here he is, actually did lunge to the right for literally no reason, as Radiant Slothz did give him plenty of room, and that spooked Alonso. But safety cars ended. Radiant Slothz waste no time getting past with the sponsors on the car. A very short-lived feature from these replays, from these races, given the fact that after Silverstone, it just seems to crash every time, and I had to do the Belgian Grand Prix at least 4 times because it wouldn't have let me advance to the next race. We ride on board with Alonso. Some chaos at the end of lap 1. There's Gasly coming into the pits. Daniel Ricciardo crashes into the side of Gasly, loses a piece of front wing. This is Sebastian Vettel further down the queue. That's Alonso up ahead. Completely crashes into Alonso in what came to be a very typical move for Sebastian Vettel back in his Ferrari days, as we joined Lewis Hamilton on lap 2, going past Ricciardo with his broken front wing, and now Lewis Hamilton joins the party with his own broken front wing down at the end of the top 10 into P11. There's everyone else behind. And now this train of very unlucky cars are going to have to follow Lewis Hamilton all the way around the circuit. So he's going past Ocon. and then just drives into the back of Daniel Ricciardo. The pit lane here has caught out many a driver on this channel and caused many a safety car. Also, it's definitely not wide enough for two people to go around at full speed, as we found out in a co-op career before, as we see an Aston Martin of Lance Stroll going to the back of Lewis Hamilton and takes the position of broken car as they carry on around the circuit as we go on board. I believe that's Giovinazzi there, just getting past by the skin of his teeth and up the inside of a Williams of Russell. Very lucky for him. As we go on board now with Valtteri Bottas, who's going incredibly slowly at the front of the field. The front six have run away at the moment and have left the Radiant Sloths a little way behind. But Sergio Perez gets past. Whatever is causing the issue here for Bottas is causing him to lose places and a lot of time. He's not got damaged by the looks of things. So it could be a technical problem, as we see the cars go 2 by 2 up the hill. Now 3 abreast into turn 3 or 4, depending on if you count the kink. On board with Bottas. He's got Norris on his right. Oh, no, there's Norris now right in front of him. As Norris challenges for second place against Max Verstappen. And now the 2 Ferraris sit behind him. Not for long though. There goes Charles Leclerc up the inside. No, Carlos Sainz, sorry. Charles Leclerc following behind shortly. Yeah, there he goes. The Ferrari of Sainz leaves Bottas out wide. Gives time for Charles Leclerc to get alongside and is now on one side of his car. We're not quite sure where. Bottas stays out to endure this issue, and Radiant Sloths, he's getting 3 attempts there just in that one lap as Bottas was having problems. Whilst Bottas gets DRS from the Ferrari of Leclerc, he won't be able to catch up, but clearly it didn't matter too much as a few laps later he's now much closer. It says 1.5 seconds. It doesn't look like that. No, it's just dropped down to half a second. Now within 3 attempts as they come around turn 1, they're going to blast their way up the hill. DRS open for Radiant Sloths. And although the Mercedes power unit is in the back of that car, this is probably not going to be too difficult. He backs out of it, going into the right-hander at the top of the hill. I think we know why. He wants the DRS down the back straight as Bottas tries to defend it. Radiant Sloths hooks it round the outside. Bottas still trying to challenge this for some reason, although look how much time he's lost from the leaders. There's just no point even bothering at this point. Radiant Sloths gets through fairly comfortably. Now goes to chase down the top 5. Although 3 seconds back, that's going to be fairly challenging for him. Oh, Bottas comes into the pits, which makes him the first of the leaders to pit. Could be for the technical problem, but more than likely he's just doing an undercut.
Box, box, box.
Now we see Radiant Sloths coming around. He's going to be coming in as well. Looks as though Verstappen may have come in there. He's jumped up the order, then jumped back down again. Oh yeah, there we go. And Norris and Sainz are in as well. Leaving Leclerc to... Oh no, it is Leclerc in the pit lane. Sainz is still on track. Purple uniforms still for the Radiant Racing team. They have yet to find a colour they like. Radiant Sloths leaves the pit lane though. There comes Valtteri Bottas. Up the hill they go. Will Bottas get the run on him? He's not going to get DRS because he wasn't close enough earlier on. 2 attempts back. The Mercedes, but he's not able to get Radiant Sloths down the first straight, maybe down the back straight. Not too far back. Joe Guan Yu for one of the first times of the season, actually in the points, or briefly, as Nicholas Latifi tries to go past him. He failed, but he tried anyway. We got on board with Daniel Ricciardo. Not more pit lane shenanigans, please. We've had enough for today's Grand Prix. He's got past the pit lane. No, he's just spun at the final corner. And then tries to rejoin the track in front of an Alpine. That was a bit sus. Still opens his DRS as we go on board with Lance Stroll, who has lost power, spending most of the Grand Prix on board with every other driver except Radiant Slothz today. He nearly crashes into a Williams. That looked like Latifi, and then decides to bail out of it as Mazepin goes past. And absolutely nothing else happened for the entire Grand Prix. Radiant Slothz rounds the penultimate corner. Bottas appears to have fixed his issue with the engine, but Radiant Slothz crosses the line, P6, and immediately stops on track, with Esteban Ocon picking up driver of the day after that very short, very boring Austrian Grand Prix. It was a good thing all of those cars crashed out at the start, otherwise there would be barely anything to watch as Sergio Perez gets out of the car. That is another podium, another win for Perez in this season. He's doing particularly well. His teammate picks up P2. We'll see them both on the podium, but it is of course a result you'd expect at the Red Bull Ring, and Helmut Marko will not be firing anybody today, at least not at the moment. Charles Leclerc also picks up a podium position for Ferrari. That will help them greatly in their battle for third in the Constructors. Lando Norris, not sure what happened to him near the end. He must have lost a position. We'll find out in just a minute as we see the final results. And here we are actually with the final results. Lando Norris did drop back to 4th position. He was followed by Carlos Sainz, then Radiant Slothz, Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, and Lewis Hamilton crawls his way back up into 10th place. Over in the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen maintains his lead, but Sergio Perez is closing the gap behind him. Then we have the two Mercedes drivers of Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. Neither driver doing particularly well in today's race. Radiant Slothz still sits in P5 ahead of Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly rounds out the top 10. Further down the order, Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Kimi Raikkonen, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso and George Russell make up the remaining point scorers, with Antonio Giovinazzi, Zhou Guanyu, Mick Schumacher, Nicolas Latifi and Nikita Mazepin making up the rest of the field. And finally in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull maintain their lead as per usual, with the Mercedes dropping back even further now after that poor result. Ferrari leapfrog Radiant Racing up into P3 and they're now ahead by 10 points and 4 points behind Radiant Racing are McLaren. Then it's a leap and a bound back to AlphaTauri, Alpine, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, Williams and finally Haas. We'll catch you in the next one.